Okay, so welcome back. We're getting ready to draw something now. Okay, so back on our actual guide here, I'm going to go in here now and do some painting, so to speak. So if I do my canvas, and then I want to do a thing that calls draw color. Okay, so I want to do blue. All right, so I could do, color dot, and then go in. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll do it one way. All right, I'm going to do the RGB guy. Okay, so red. So alpha 0, red 0, green 0, and blue at 255. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Right. There's another way of doing it. Perhaps something a little easier because we're using words, and that is my canvas draw color, and then say color blue, like that. That's just kind of, sort of. So I've drawn something, and so my canvas knows about my bitmap. So let's just see what this thing looks like, because I have an 800 by 600 something. There we go. I have an 800 by 600 thing in the middle of my screen. Cool? Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is let's do some text. So I'm going to go in there. I'm going to talk to my brush and my canvas and tell it what color I want, right? Because that's what this thing does. So I'm going to go ahead and say, first, let's start talking about the text we're getting ready to put in here. So using their example in the book, they're going to do my paint. And then it's going to say set text size. And then you basically tell it whatever, what size you want the text to be. And then I'm going to do my paint and then set the color. And again, I'm going to do it their way. I'm going to do color dot RGB. Then I'm going to say I want 255, 255, 255, 255. Okay, that means 100%, 100%, 100% all the way. That would be white, wouldn't it? Okay, so this could have been done a little easier, right? And then I'm going to do my canvas this time. And then I'm going to do a draw text. And basically tell it what I want. So I want hello world. And then I tell it the coordinates where I want it. So I'm going to say 100, 100, and then what I want is my paint. That'll point it 100 by 100. Now let's do this over again to make sure this thing works, because the 100 and 100, is that from the corner of the screen? Or is that from... No, it's from the corner of my canvas, okay? So I created me a canvas of a particular size, and then I told it I wanted a big, white, and then starting over 100 by 100 is where this thing starts out as. Okay? Kinda, sorta makes sense? Okay. Just following along the demo. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint me a circle. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Okay, so next I need, I'm going to do a my paint to pick my color. My set color. And I'm going to do yellow just because, I'm just cheating here. Okay, yellow. And then I'm going to use the canvas guy because the canvas guy has all the painting tools. And I'm going to say draw circle. Okay, in the draw circle, I'm going to say it's 400. This is like radius and all these other kind of things. And then my paint. Okay, so oops, I do need to give it the radius. Sorry. Okay, so the X and Y coordinates, the radius, and so let's go see what this thing looks like. And ta-da! Okay, we could make a happy face if we want to keep after this, right? I mean, all sorts of things, but I think you kind of get it. It's a step-by-step process of talking about the bitmap, using paint to set the color and draw things, and then the canvas to set it up, and then using the my canvas to draw something, or draw a circle, or draw some text, or do those kinds of things. I think you kind of got it, right? And so I'm going to continue on talking about some other things. Okay. Whew. So the coordinate system on page 493 starts at the upper left-hand corner. Now, the upper left corner of what is kind of difficult. Typically, when you're talking about draining, you're talking about up here in the upper left-hand corner, right? But since I told it I wanted the coordinate system, in this particular case, 100 and 100, or this 400 and 250, that it's relative to the actual canvas itself, okay? Just saying. Now, what happens if so if that's 0, 0 here, then what's this value over here? Well, it'd probably be the, 799 and 599, right? Right, because it's the exact opposite corner, right? Diagonally across, okay? So if I rotate the screen, does the 0, 0 change? I mean, when I rotate the screen, does the 0, 0 now, is that not 0, 0? Well, of course it is. The upper left-hand corner is always going to be 0, 0. That part doesn't change. It could be that the other end might change when you rotate the screen, but not the upper right-hand corner. I said right. Not the upper left-hand corner. That always is going to be 0, 0. Okay, good. All right. So there's kind of an example they're showing here, where here's my screen, and here's my thing I'm drawing. So if they wanted this thing at 650 by 400, and then that's the upper right-hand corner, and you go down that many, and you go down that way, and poof, that's where you put your guy. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how to load a bitmap resource. So a bitmap is a little confusing in this case, because up to now, all we've ever done is just gone in there and said, okay, here's a resource from the XML file, and, just inflate it and do your thing. Well, we don't have that capability just yet because we're not inflating controls. Okay, so there's an extra step that we have to do. One of the things we need to do is we need to add a bitmap into our project, all right? That's step number one. So I've got one going here. So here's a picture of a kitty, and I'm going to drag and drop this thing. Now you might, in the book, they're telling you to drag and drop this into the thing called drawable. Now I've got some problems with that. Drawable typically is what's considered vector graphics. Oh, I hope to God you guys have heard these terms before. Raster graphics and vector graphics. Oh, please. So these are the things that scale really, really well. In other words, these are just instructions, right? If I go look at this guy, clearly that's just a set of instructions, right? There's no bitmap here. It's just a set of instructions. Draw this to here, draw this to there, it's like instructions, okay? So that's not normally where you would drag and drop. You would drag it and drop into the bitmap. These are indeed, honest to God, real bitmaps. Okay? I know it sounds a little funky. Just bear with me. So I'm not going to follow the book, and instead I'm going to drag and drop my guy into the bitmap folder. Now I'm going to hit Control here, and it comes up and says, hey man, is this what you want to call it? And it picked the location where it thinks it needs to go, which is perfectly okay. The problem here is I really, really, really have to give this guy a new name. I cannot keep him with the same name that he has because everything in the res has to be in lowercase. So I have no choice but to go in here and say KM like that. And that will pop him in there. Okay, so now I've got this KM guy. All right, cool. All right, now that I've got one, now it's time for me to go in and go back to my actual code, and we're going to pull this guy in so we can do something with him. Okay, kind of makes sense? Okay. So, here we go. This is a little bit weird, so just kind of bear with me. So here's how it works. I'm going to say, I need a new bitmap. So I'm not talking about the existing bitmap. I'm pulling up my cat picture one. Okay. So this is a bitmap, right? We'll call it my cat. Okay, cool so far. And then I'm going to say, there's a thing called a bitmap factory. I know, just bear with me. Which will create one of these guys, a bitmap factory. And then it says decode resource. I know. Decode resource. And then I give it this is the resource ID, which is going to be the get resources. I know, don't, just bear with me. And then, r dot bitmap dot this guy. Okay. That was a lot. It was a way to get my bitmap into my system. So now I actually have a bitmap, just like I have a bitmap there, right? And just for the heck of it, let's just switch over to my bitmap. Okay, so I'm just going to do a copy. I'll tell you what. Let me just comment this guy. I'm going to do a copy and paste because I don't want to whack this guy for real. I just want to comment this guy out, and then we're going to change this to my cat, just to see if it worked. Okay, but all my beautiful drawing won't work. I mean, okay, yeah, I got a cat. Okay, all right. This is not really all that complicated, is it? It's just that all the junk you have to go through to be able to resurrect a bitmap that's in your resources and put it onto the screen. Wow, that's an awful lot of stuff. Okay, cool? All right. Woo. All right, continuing on page 496, they talk about the matrix class. And this is where you can go in and say, well, I want to rotate that, or I want to scale it, or I want to zoom, flip, and all those things. This is all about how to deal with a bitmap. So now that you have a bitmap, I want to tweak it somehow. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to go in here and do that to this guy. Alrighty, so here we go. So I'm going to go in here and say matrix. My matrix, since that seems to be is equal to new matrix. Okay, now let's get this all part. Oh, okay. So, ooh, yeah, I want the graphics one. Okay, so now that I've got this guy, then I can go in there and I want to say I want to take my matrix and what's called prescale. Okay, prescale will allow me to go in here and like just completely flip this guy around like that. Okay, so the X and the Y, or the X part has been flipped, but the Y part hasn't. Okay, and then I apply that thing to my guy. Okay, so now I'm going to go in here and say, how about bitmap my cat 2. Whoops, spelled right. Dang it. All right, so now I'm going to go in here and whack and do something. I'm going to say bitmap, create bitmap, and then I'm going to tell my guy that I want, which would be my cat. And then, what do I want to do to this guy? And I'm going to go in and change his size. I'm going to tell it that I want the matrix to be able to flip the guy and a bunch of other stuff, which, of course, I'm not going to bother to explain because we're coming up on the 15-minute mark. Okay.